Thank you for joining us on News at 7 on NTA International. I'm Lami Ali. Hannah Olainka is the sign language interpreter. We begin with the headlines. Vice President Shettima seeks stronger networking and partnerships to revive railway system, says Nigeria already leading Africa as logistics hub. National Association of Resident Doctors suspends 2-day warning strike, directs members to resume duties. Also on the news, WHO begins Ebola vaccination in Democratic Republic of Congo. President Bola Tinubu has concluded his work vacation ahead of schedule and will return to Abuja on Tuesday, September 16, 2025 to resume official duties. The president departed for France on September 4, 2025 to spend part of his annual holiday and was initially scheduled to divide the period between France and the United Kingdom. Last week in Paris, President Tinubu held a private luncheon with his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron, at the Élysée Palace. Both leaders reviewed key areas of cooperation between Nigeria and France and agreed to deepen the partnership for mutual prosperity and global stability. Vice President, the only way Nigeria can maintain its lead as the logistics hub of Africa is to revive the nation's railway services through strong networking, partnerships and collaboration among stakeholders. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he declared open the second International Railway Conference in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
The second International Railway Conference bringing stakeholders from across Africa and beyond with the theme Opportunities and Challenges in the Railway Development in Africa, re-strategizing to accelerate progress in the industry.
His Excellency Kashim Shettima.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, said Nigeria is encouraging collaboration through public-private partnership in ensuring sustainability in Nigeria's drive to prosperity in the railway industry.
The challenge ahead of us is to lead this race as the logistics hub of Africa by reviving and revitalizing our railway services. We must be conscious of our place as the anchor of West Africa's economy and home to the continent's largest population as we prepare for the adoption of modern railway infrastructure. This awakening inspired projects such as the Kano-Maradi Railway Modernization, which opens new gateways for trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Our agenda is shaped by the urgent need to reduce the burden on our roads and highways. Decades of our reliance on road transportation have led to congestion, rapid deterioration of infrastructure, and higher accident rates.
The expected high-speed rail project covering 4,000 kilometers is expected to place Nigeria as the second largest in the globe with viability drivers by 2033.
This is indeed a bold and visionary initiative with the potential to significantly transform Nigeria's infrastructure base and accelerate our economic growth trajectory.
Port rail concession and non-value capture around stations. Empower people to rule rail, from engineers to artisans, station managers to security staff. The railway must be a platform for skilled job and inclusive growth. Institutions like Federal University of Transportation, Daura, and the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, NITT, will be supported to prepare the next generation for railway professionals.
Gas is not just an energy resource, it is the fuel for industrialization. It powers manufacturing, fertilizer production, petrochemical, power generation, and clean cooking. Importantly, it has the potential to drive strategic infrastructure projects, such as the pioneering high-speed rail network we celebrate today.
Nigeria is expanding the railway tracks to connect communities, aimed at fostering inclusive development and reducing road congestion and crashes. In Abuja, Rahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says the Renewed Hope agenda will continue to support families to promote strong moral values and contribute to peace and national security. The First Lady was speaking at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, during a national security training exercise codenamed Exercise Haskebu. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
She was received with full military honors, then dances of joy as the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, represented by the wife of the Vice President, made her way into the event hall where these senior security officers had gathered to discuss security issues with the team, family and national security.
The Renewed Hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR is committed to supporting the welfare of families through various economic reforms and social interventions.
Kaduna State, being a garrison state and a hub of military institutions, understands firsthand the importance of strong civil-military relations.
That anybody who has found himself in a position of leadership must fulfill. You must keep the Nigerian service. There are 7 places. The President is committed to unveiling the National Value Charter during the independence celebration.
The gathering seeks to address security challenges through both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches.
This year, we have expanded the scope and the scale of the exercise to make it a whole-of-nation problem-solving vehicle.
Effective control of dangerous drugs, NDLEA to be strengthened, must be strengthened, and also work closely with communities.
Is to enable us bring in the family in the issue of national security. The family, as we all know, is the bedrock of every society.
This multi-agency security training tag operation Haskebu brings together journalists, peace advocates, and various security operatives here. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
Now, Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria's doors are open to investments and collaboration across diverse sectors as President Tinubu remains determined to transform the state of the nation's economy for the better. He stated this when he received a delegation from Visa led by the regional president for Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa, Tariq Mahmoud, on a courtesy visit to the presidential villa. Abuja State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
The meeting with Visa company, Vice President Kashim Shettima commended the cooperation for its growing interest in the Nigerian economy, particularly partnership with indigenous companies, and urged the company to leverage Nigeria's huge unbanked population in expansion drive across Africa. He said digital payment systems are the future of commercial transactions across Africa, highlighting its potential for entrenching transparency and checkmating corruption.
Our doors are open for collaboration with Visa. In spite of advances we have made in digital economy, out of the 10 unicorns in Africa. So I believe we can partner with you to develop some accessible digital payment solutions that can address the huge chunk of our population that are underbanked and underserved.
The Visa regional president praised the Tinubu administration bold economic reforms, linking it to the recent growth experienced across diverse sectors of the economy.
Well, Nigeria is a huge population. Yeah, it's a great population. It's a dynamic population, a lot of entrepreneurial activity. And of course, you cannot, this is the heartbeat of this region. So you cannot do business in this region without looking at doing business in Nigeria. And the more welcoming and stable the environment is, the more ability to bring capital in, but also take capital out, the more business Nigeria will see.
The company announced plans to increase its stake in the Nigerian economy and participate actively in programs that impact directly on the lives and livelihoods across different sectors. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Nigeria's envoy to ECOWAS, Ambassador Musa Sani Nuhu, has hailed the establishment of the region's business council as a game changer in addressing the impediments to the implementation of the regional protocol on the free movement of persons, goods, services and capital. Ambassador Nuhu, who spoke at the hybrid preparatory meeting towards the launch of the Business Council with the stakeholders held in Abuja, said that in the composition of the membership, serious efforts were being made to ensure inclusivity and that membership is representative of the region's private sector. He described the council as a long-awaited solution to problems militating against the effective functioning of the regional protocol on the free movement of persons, residents and establishments. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tuga has stressed the need for a significant renewal of Nigeria's foreign policy to strengthen the nation's position in a rapidly changing world. The minister warned that Nigeria must avoid being pressured into aligning with major power blocs. Garba Nata'ala reports.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, was speaking as a guest lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIIA, in Lagos, with the theme, Navigating Realities, Aligning Nigeria's Foreign Policy with Emerging Global Dynamics. Yusuf Tuga outlined the challenges reshaping the world order, from climate change, artificial intelligence, to transitional terrorism and shifting global power structures. Tuga cautioned that major powers are exerting immense pressure on Nigeria to choose sides in this emerging multipolar world, but he recalled how Nigeria, with intellectual support from the NIIA, successfully resisted similar pressures during the Cold War by pursuing a policy of non-alignment. He stated, Nigeria's foreign policy was always being guided by moral precepts and ethical conditions. Tuga explained that President Tinubu's administration's foreign policy agenda is built on 4 pillars: democracy, demography, development, and diaspora. The goal is to pursue issue-based partnerships rather than entangling alliances. In a statement, the minister asserted that Africa must define democracy based on its own history and traditions, and hints that this has led to the creation of the Regional Partnership for Democracy with the UNDP to strengthen institutions and promote regional cooperation. The minister stressed that for a nation of Nigeria's size and potential, strategic autonomy is essential to shape rather than be shaped by the emerging global order. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Atala, NTA News.
Now, the World Trade Organization, WTO, has adopted its agreements on fisheries subsidies, which helps to protect the world's fish stocks and the livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people who depend on fisheries for food, income and employment. Chukwunonsonwa Boise reports that the agreement commits WTO members to curbing billions of dollars in annual spending on the most harmful subsidies that contribute to the depletion of marine fish stocks.
The Agreement on Fisheries Subsidies is the World Trade Organization's first multilateral agreement with environmental sustainability at its core. It prohibits government support to illegal fishing activities and overexploitation of stocks, contributing to the protection of marine life. With the receipt of the instruments of acceptance of the agreement from Brazil, Kenya, Vietnam and Tonga by the WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, bringing the total number of acceptances over the threshold of 2/3 of WTO members needed for the agreement to enter into force. Members at a special General Council meeting in Geneva celebrated the landmark achievement. In her address, Okonjo-Iweala said, at a time when the international trading system faces profound challenges, the agreement sends a powerful signal that WTO members can work together in a spirit of cooperation and share responsibility to deliver solutions to global challenges. Her signing and handover of the official depository notification of the agreement's entry into force to the General Council chairman marked the official integration of the agreement into the WTO legal framework. To oversee the implementation of the agreement, a committee on fisheries subsidies will be established to maintain regular dialogue on members' fishing practices and subsidies, as well as increase transparency on government's practices. Nigeria had on the 12th of June 2023 submitted her instrument of acceptance of the agreement, demonstrating strong commitment to multilateralism in global maritime governance. Chukwuna Nsonwabweze, NTA News.
Vaccination on Ebola has commenced in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Details on this and more after the break. The World Health Organization has launched an emergency vaccination campaign in the Democratic Republic of Congo following the country's first Ebola outbreak in 3 years, and United Nations calls for more aid for survivors of Afghanistan's earthquake. Francis Udojo has details on these and other stories.
Frontline health workers and contacts of infected individuals are being vaccinated in Kasai province of the DRC, where the outbreak was declared earlier this month. An initial 400 doses of the Evabo vaccine have already been delivered to Bulap, the epicenter of the outbreak, with another 45,000 doses on the way. So far, authorities have recorded 32 suspected cases, including 20 confirmed and 16 deaths. WHO officials warn the outbreak could spread further after a case was detected 70 kilometers from Bulap, raising concerns of possible cross-border transmission to Angola. Health experts say urgent action is critical, but they caution that reduced international support could make containment efforts more difficult. Meanwhile, UN officials have called for more aid for survivors of Afghanistan's earthquake, 2 weeks after a devastating earthquake which killed more than 2,200 people in the country's Kuna province. UN agencies have stepped up relief efforts. Food supplies and medical assistance are now being distributed to survivors struggling to rebuild their lives. Official of the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, UNAMA, appealed to world leaders to send additional aid, noting that a lot of assistance came, but still, needs are immense and urgent.
We are approaching winter. Winter is very soon, it's mountainous place, it will be very cold very soon. That's why we appeal to the world, to all countries who didn't come yet. A lot of assistance came, but still needs are immense.
The United Nations is calling for sustained international assistance to help affected communities recover from one of the deadliest disasters to strike the country in recent years. Francis Dojo, NT News.
Since the declaration by the Inter-Parliamentary Union, every 15th of September is celebrated as International Day of Democracy. In this report, David Irie examines the significance and benefits of the day.
The Inter-Parliamentary Union's Universal Declaration on Democracy serves as a foundational document outlining the principles and values of democratic governance. The United Nations annual observance of the day is to encourage governments to strengthen and promote democratic tenets globally. The day provides a consistent focal point for international organizations, governments, and civil societies to rally around the universal ideal of democracy. Beyond mere elections and sustaining democratic governance, opinion leaders say democracy requires engagement, activism, and a willingness to listen and learn from one another.
There is hope, but the hope must come from the people. The people must then elect the right leaders. As we speak about democracy today, September the 15th, International Democracy Day, we must also begin to think about elections of 2027. Because speaking to Nigeria, let me zero in on Nigeria, is that the kind of leaders you elect determine the kind of democracy you get.
But after elections, how do we ensure that institutions are open to accountability so that you empower the people more against the leaders, no matter who they are, no matter how they came to power, so that there will be either regular referendum on issues localized. And thirdly, we need to focus on making democracy more local. That means some of the issues that concern people, their freedom, liberty, should as much as possible be localized where there is less democracy deficit, where they have more control.
When the resources, of a state, are also not used in such a way that enhances human dignity and pride of being a Nigerian, again, you cannot say sufficiently that you are benefiting from the yields of democracy.
The theme for the 2025 celebration, Democracy and Inclusion in an Age of Insecurity, seeks to address the urgent links between inclusive democracy, global security, and the role of various nations in an increasingly volatile world. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
We go to the courts. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has declined adjudication on a motion filed by Biafra Nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu, seeking an order transferring him from the custody of the Department of the State Service DSS to the National Hospital in Abuja for urgent medical attention. During the court proceedings, counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, Uchenna Njoku, SAN, informed the court of a counter notice served on him by the prosecution opposing the transfer request. As such, he needs time to study the documents to enable him respond. He therefore sought for an adjournment, particularly in view of the fact that the vacation of the judge ends on Monday. Prosecution counsel Adegboyega Owomolo, SAN, did not oppose the request for adjournment, saying he will be ready to be in court anytime, any day a new date is fixed. Presiding Judge Justice Musa Liman ordered that the case file be returned to the registry for the Chief Judge to reassign the matter to another judge since his duty as vacation judge ends on Monday. The judge added that he would recommend to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court for the speedy hearing of the motion since the applicant's health is involved. For the first time after 71 years, the Federal Civil Service Commission has unveiled a draft 5-year strategic plan, now undergoing validation in Abuja. The exercise marks a major step towards strengthening the Commission's capacity in recruitment, promotion and discipline within the Federal Civil Service. Here is Haman Jabani with the details.
The validation session brought together government officials, development partners, and stakeholders in the public sector reforms to review and fine-tune the draft plan covering the period 2026 to 2030. In her message to the gathering, head of the Civil Service of the Federation, DDS Walsh Jack, described the exercise as historic and a turning point in the Commission's institutional development, while stressing that aligning the Commission's strategic plan with the broader Federal Civil Service strategic and implementation plan will ensure synergy in driving efficiency, accountability, and service delivery across ministries, departments, and agencies.
Our shared vision is the development of a world-class service that is professional, accountable, merit-driven, and performance-oriented, thereby contributing maximally to accelerated national development.
For the Federal Civil Service Commission, the validation exercise is crucial as it provides an opportunity to critically assess goals, strategies, and implementation framework.
We want to be sure that we are on the same page. So we are taking it step by step and saying, this is the vision, mission, value. These are the elements of strategy. So we are taking it one by one, and it's for them to say, yes, it represented what we agreed.
Your insights will ensure that the final plan is not only aspirational, but also practical and implementable, as well as impactful.
Somebody said this is the last leadership of human beings managing process of delivering public service. The next stage will be human beings and machines. What is going to happen to us as human beings?
Experts note that without validation, a strategic plan risks being disconnected from real needs, operational realities, and the expectation of Nigerian people, and that building result-oriented civil service requires not only but also inclusive participation and robust monitoring. When the validation is completed, the Federal Civil Service Commission is expected to finalize and adopt the plan as a guiding framework for reforms, positioning itself as a modern institution ready to meet the demands of governance in the 21st century. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved portfolios for 5 executive directors on the board of the North Central Development Commission, NCDC, to assist the commission in actualizing its statutory mandate. The 5 appointees and their assigned roles are Hajia Bilikis Jumoke Sani, Executive Director, Administration and Human Resources; Aisha Rufai Ibrahim, Executive Director, Commercial and Industrial Development; James Abel Uluko, Executive Director, Corporate Services; Professor Muhammad Bashar, Executive Director, Finance; and Princess Atika Ajana, Executive Director, Projects. The President tasks the executive directors to work closely with the governing board of the NCDC in promoting and coordinating the sustainable developments of the North Central geopolitical region. Tuesday's weather is next. And that's the news at this time on NTA International. Hannah Olainka has been the sign language interpreter, and I am Lami Ali. Do have a good evening.